when it happened, my heart just fell out of my body.
Guys, it has been years since Whitney Thore announced that her mom was sick, and sadly, she passed away in December of 2022. But after she passed, Whitney got pretty quiet about what was going on with her and her family.
I know this is very difficult for all of you.
Oh, it breaks my heart because Babs meant so much to Whitney, so obviously it was really hard for her to talk about. But now, months later, she's finally revealing everything she and the rest of her family are going through, and her posts have been seriously heartbreaking.
I love her so much.
So we first found out that Babs had passed away through one of Whitney's Instagram posts. The day after it happened, Whitney posted a touching tribute to her mom's life. She wrote, "Rest in peace, sweet mommy, June 22nd, 1946, December 2nd, 2022. And the post included a really sweet compilation of photos of Babs with a voiceover clip of the two of them talking about how lucky they were that they had each other and how much they loved each other. And Babs passed away at only 76 years old, and according to Whitney, her last moments were very peaceful, and as the credits rolled on of her favorite movie and as Whitney, Hunter, and Glenn all held her, she took her last breaths around 10:32 p.m., which was actually the exact same time that she had Whitney almost 40 years ago. And Babs' passing has been extremely difficult for the entire family, and it's never easy to lose a loved one like this, but the truth is that Babs had been struggling with her health for a while, and Whitney opened up about Babs' health on her Instagram, and it was just seriously devastating to read, so I can't even imagine how hard that must have been for her to write. But according to Whitney, the family was first warned about Babs' condition after she had her first stroke back in 2017. So Babs suffered from cerebral amyloid angiopathy, which, based on what Whitney said, is an untreatable progressive condition caused by proteins in the blood vessels of the brain. And these proteins in the blood vessels can cause a lot of health complications for someone with this condition, such as dementia or seizures. And in Barbara's case, it led to brain bleeding. And back in 2017, after Babs had her first stroke, they were told that eventually these strokes would come back and that they would be inevitable. But, that must have been very difficult for her to hear. And I mean, Babs having a stroke must have already been genuinely terrifying on its own, but then to be told that there was really nothing that they could do and that this condition was inevitable and untreatable, it must have made it so much harder on them all. And still, they had a couple of years of relatively, peace after that stroke, and this must have been such a relief. And we all just saw how emotional Whitney got in season 4 when she rushed to see Babs in the hospital after that first incident. But this peace didn't last forever because Babs had her second stroke in December 28, 2021, which we got to see on the show as well. And according to Whitney's post, Barbara's last stroke happened less than a year later on November 13th, 2022, and she passed away just a couple of weeks after that. And since then, Whitney has spent most of her time trying to process this huge loss, and she obviously loved her mom very much, and losing her like this must have been a huge blow. And years ago, after Babs had her first stroke, Whitney confessed that she was scared of losing her parents, and she said that she always hoped that she'd, would only lose them because of old age, but Babs was only 76 years old when she passed away, and she still had so much more life to live. And Whitney even expressed this exact same sentiment not too long ago on her social media, and in the video that she posted on her Instagram on January 5th, she thanked everyone for all the love and support, and she was really emotional in the video, and there was a good reason for it. I mean, she'd been cleaning out all of her mom's stuff, which was obviously just really difficult for her, and she said that she appreciated all of the cards and gifts that people had sent them, and then she opened up a little bit more about how she was feeling, and she said that it was something that was really difficult about getting rid of her mom's old curlers, because Barb's had those curlers for like 50 years, and when Whitney and her dad Glenn came across them, they both just teared up. And Whitney said that the idea of getting rid of them just didn't feel right at all. And she also said that this whole process had been really difficult because Barbara was so young when she passed away, and there were still so many things that Whitney had hoped that they would get to do together, but now that chance was gone, and that was just devastating for her. And as I mentioned earlier, Whitney has been posting about Babs a lot over these last couple of months. Just recently, on March 7th, she posted a selfie, and in the caption she wrote, "Hey y'all, just checking in to say thanks from my family and me for being so sweet and supportive and loving my mommy so much. I see every comment and they make us so happy." And she added 3 heart emojis at the end of the message, and this post most likely came because of the reactions Whitney got to another post that she'd shared just 3 days earlier, because on March 4th, Whitney posted a short video of her and her dad in the swimming pool, and she and Glenn looked like they were having a lot of fun together, and they even joked about Glenn doing water aerobics. And Whitney also wrote that this was Glenn Glenn finally starting to enjoy life again a little bit after the loss of Babs, and naturally, everyone flooded the comments sharing their love and support, and I think that's what made Whitney thank everyone in her post just a couple of days later. And Whitney also posted a photo of her and Babs laughing together on March 2nd, and she wrote that she'd been missing her sweet mommy a lot that night, and it's clear that Whitney is still thinking of her mom most days, and these things take time to process, and I do think it's great that she's been so open about her feelings with everyone, and it seems much healthier than trying to bottle any of that. And plus, I'm sure that there are others out there that are going through the same thing who may find this really helpful, and it's always, comforting to know that you are not alone. And it must also be great for Whitney and the whole family to see how much everyone really loved Babs, and she was on the show from the very beginning, and people really grew attached to her over the years. And as Whitney mentioned in her first post after Babs' passing, we all loved her southern charm, her sense of humor, and her ability to make everyone feel comfortable and cared for, and she was such a warm person, and we'll all miss seeing her on our screens. And in her post, Whitney also opened up on how much Babs enjoyed being on the show, and Whitney wrote it gave her such a sense of purpose and excitement and something to look forward to every time the crew came around, and this last year navigating life and her second stroke was, perhaps surprisingly, the best of our lives, and we never had more fun or laughed as much as we did in this past year. And Babs was such a positive presence, and I can't imagine what the Thores must be feeling right now, and I'm glad that they all at least seem to be there for each other right now. And it definitely looks like Whitney and Glenn have been spending a lot of time together lately, which I think is great. At least they don't have to go through this alone. But guys, what do you think? I mean, do you miss Babs? This is obviously so sad. Such a hard time for Whitney and her family. So I definitely want to put out your good energy, put out your good prayers, put out all that good vibes for her, because I really do feel bad for whether you love Whitney or not. You're not her biggest reality TV fan. It is still just a really sad time. And also, do you agree that it's good that the family are there for each other? I definitely do. But either way, guys, put in the comments below what you think.